Welcome to the IDP Show. I'm your host, Josh Raymer, joined in the Soul Shack tonight. On my right, Adam Markham. On my left, Bobby Reynolds. Gentlemen, football is back.
It's back!
I didn't know where Adam was going with that, Bobo, but he stepped up to the plate and smacked it out of the park.
I was happy with that. That was a great introduction.
That felt good. I felt that deep in my soul. The reverberations.
It's true, too.
It is true. Football is back. We've got the Monday night game on here in the Socheck. If y'all see us glancing off to the side on the YouTube stream, we're recording this in the third quarter, I believe, of the Monday night game between the Seahawks and Broncos.
Fourth, baby.
That's the fourth?
Prime time.
Prime time. This is when the stars shine brightest, Daddy.
That's
Give me a score update. I can't see it through your body.
Yeah, so it's 13-17. Seahawks are up right now, but Denver is
About to punch it in?
maybe. They're on the 10.
Third and goal.
Let's see what we got here.
Russ.
Doing it into the end zone. All right, Seahawks have looked good tonight. I've been surprised by how feisty this team has been.
Yeah.
I think Pete Carroll really wants this one. I think he wants to stick it to Russ, and Gino's been all right. I don't think he's gonna lead you to more than like 6-11 on the year, but for tonight, he's looked all right.
Yeah, you've had like 4 months to prepare for this like first game.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's fine. Gino's DK line of like it's the opposite. It's like 7 for like 36 yards. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a very DK year for you.
Yeah.
Sorry about DK in standard leagues.
Yeah, so Seattle, Denver, maybe not the best game, but boys, we had some sizzling finishes. We're 1 week in. It's the early frame of games on Sunday, and we have a witching hour to end all witching hours. The Saints with this massive comeback. There's missed kicks galore in the Bengals-Steelers game. The Colts are trying to start off their season with a tie against the Texans. Justin Jefferson's going absolutely nuclear. Addy, how are you feeling about your Vikes, man? What a great start to the season for Minnesota.
Pretty good. I mean, I called them to win the division. That's looking like that could maybe happen. I mean, the offense looked great. Justin Jefferson looks like the best receiver in the league.
Mm-hmm.
It's defense looks pretty good. We'll get to talk about some of those guys.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, it was a great debut for us.
Mm-hmm.
About you guys, how do you guys feel about? We haven't talked about Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
Yeah.
Rams,
Bob, you okay?
Rams are worrying me a little bit, man.
It's going to be a tough year. It is. I mean, did y'all see the Jimmy G trade thing to the Rams that came out today that kind of leaked? I think it was Jimmy G. Yes, it was Jimmy G. I
saw they were going to scoop him up if he got cut.
They already had like a deal pretty much done. And Shanahan smartly kept him, I guess, smartly. I don't know.
Was this from Adar and Schefter?
Opinion.
Was this
No, I'm
verified?
pretty sure this was legit. I think it was actually Adam Schefter. I think if it is true, that shows the level of concern that the Rams have for Stafford's elbow. You know, it's just a lot of weird stuff with the Rams. It kind of goes back to, why did we bring in Wagner but yet let Von Miller go? Why did we let Robert Woods go but bring in Allen Robinson?
The Wagner thing was a panic move, right?
Yeah. They had to do something.
Yeah.
Felt like they were getting behind. I'm not so sure another linebacker was what they needed. We'll get to that, but I don't feel great as a Rams fan. I'm looking at rooting for some other teams this year.
Yeah, the Colts, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of Falcons games. I mean, I think the most closely I've watched the Falcons was their Super Bowl meltdown against the Pats. So haven't really taken in a lot of Matt Ryan before Sunday. Boy, I don't know if it's just this is the Matt Ryan experience or he's just fallen off that age cliff. Dude looked like he had concrete blocks for shoes. The arm was like, I mean, it was pretty noodly, man. It doesn't change my outlook. I mean, I kind of figured this was some like the cousin of the Phil Rivers season that we got a couple years ago that, led us to 11-5 and a playoff berth. So, I think 9-8, 10-7, win a very bad AFC South and get bounced in the first round. This didn't really change much for me. The Colts always do this. We haven't won an opening game going back like 7 or 8 seasons. We always crap the bed in week 1.
I saw that a lot of his receivers didn't really help him out either.
Man, some brutal drops.
Alec Pierce had a really bad one.
Hit him right in the hands. The other one, the guy actually stripped it out of the receiver's hands. So good play by the defender. But man, yeah, not a lot of help for Matt Ryan on Sunday.
Had the San Francisco 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo been unable to agree to a restructured contract this summer, the rival Los Angeles Rams were lurking as a possible destination for the veteran quarterback, and that's the certified Adam Schefter.
There you go.
So I think that says a lot about what McVay and them know about Stafford's arm.
I'm telling you, man, I think that could be something that pops up. Maybe they're like, 2-3, 2-4. The season's kind of getting away from them. Stafford's elbows flaring up. They're like, we're just going to sit him for a couple weeks, see if we can get him right. I don't know.
There's nobody to throw to. When Skoranek, when they started showing him on the little the highlights of one of the wide receivers at start, and I was like, good gosh. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, they showed him on the opening starting lineup, like intros, and I was like, wow, we're really bringing back Skoranek, huh?
I was really expecting to see Lance McCutcheon on there. We know what Skoranek is at this point. He is Super Bowl winning wide receiver, but still,
not a guy I was hoping they'd bring back. That team was decimated with injuries last season.
What about OBJ still having a locker there?
Yeah, that's weird. Just bring him back if you want to bring him back. Stop being weird about it.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah,
weird week, and then
very weird week.
Chris Godwin looked amazing for a quarter, and then it was like, gosh.
I hope he's okay. Let's get into it, fellas, because we got a lot to talk about. Of course, big week. Anytime you come off of an off season, no matter how much preseason you take in, week one is always like just information overload. It's a tsunami of stats and highlight reels and information coming at you. So we're going to try to sort through as much of it as we can tonight.
It's going to be a good episode. This is a big 3 episode. There's kind of a plan, but there's kind of not.
We have some, some bullet points, but we're going to go off on some tangents. But let's kick things off with
Josh will let us.
Yeah, probably not too many tangents.
Please,
but
Josh, please let us.
At least a few. At least a few. But let's kick things off with the news and injuries here, fellas. And the big news, of course, the defending defensive player of the year, TJ Watt, tore his pec in the game against the Bengals. He actually came off the field and said, I tore my pec. You could see him mouthing that to the sidelines. Looked like, talking to Dr. Leesis, full pec tear, 6-month kind of recovery time. So your season's over. But we get the word tonight, literally I think at about halftime of the Monday Night Football game, that he's seeking second and third opinions. And now the latest is that he's not going to have surgery, and he could be back at the end of October, beginning of November. So I don't know what to make of this, but TJ Watt was his normal self in the game against the Bengals. That defense really showed up. So this is obviously a big blow for the Steelers, no matter how long he's out, Addy, but maybe it won't be as long as what we initially thought.
Yeah, but either way, that's a killer right there. What at the earliest he's going to come back is, what did you say, end of October?
End of October, beginning of November.
So yeah, that's not good. That Steelers team, gosh, Mitch Trubisky, and then you lose your best. You lose the defensive player of the year.
Najee Harris is banged up.
Deontay Johnson was questionable going into the game. He made an amazing catch, by the way. I don't know if you boys saw that.
Alex Highsmith. We're going to talk about him. We got top scorers at DL, LB, and DB. He was the top DL scorer, so they had number 1 and number 3, I think.
Yeah, that's insane. This will definitely open up more of an opportunity for Malik Reed, and I think they've said that as much. So but you can't replace that guy.
No.
That's brutal.
It's essentially like losing a JT CMC draft capital wise. You took TJ Watt with pretty high draft capital.
If you were reaching,
run,
he was one of your top 3s. Probably.
It's either Watt or Micah Parsons for the most part in every league.
Yeah. So some other injuries here worth mentioning. Jaron Kearse on crutches after the game with a sprained MCL, likely to miss 2 to 4 weeks. That's a blow for a sleeper DB that we all liked a lot. Trayvon Merrick and Denzel Perryman left the game against the Chargers, did not return. Chris Barnes carted off with an air cast, just a high ankle sprain. Quay Walker suffered a shoulder injury. The severity is unknown. Adrian Phillips was ruled out of the Miami contest early with a rib injury. And this was more of a depth piece, but it's worth bringing up because we're going to start seeing more of these now that the season has started. But Derek Barnett suffered a season-ending torn ACL during Sunday's win over the Lions. I read that list. Obviously, TJ Watt is the biggest injury news on the defensive side of the ball, but Bobo, Jaron Kearse is a big loss as well for IDP managers.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we all like Kearse's size. We all like Kearse, what he did in 2021 on the field. Put up a lot of IDP points for us. I'm kind of more in tune to the Derek Barnett loss. Maybe not so much for Derek Barnett. I mean, he's very meh at this point in his career. But I really do think that it probably elevates Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick in what appears to be, Josh, what you claimed last week of being a really good Philadelphia Eagles team. And the Eagles put up a lot of points pretty early last week, which means I think a lot of these pass rushers are going to have opportunities because these quarterbacks are going to be dropping back, trying to pass, trying to catch up to the Eagles every game. It's going to open the door, I think, for Sweat and for Hassan Reddick to some extent.
Unfortunately, we're probably going to add Jamal Adams to this
I know. That was the news that came out of the Monday night game. Jamal Adams, I haven't seen an update come across Twitter yet other than he was downgraded to doubtful at the time. Obviously, we're here in the fourth quarter, and he's not returned, so he's out for the game. It was a knee injury. They took him off the sidelines on the cart to the locker room. The sideline reporter, I think it was Lisa Salters, was saying that she could hear, and everyone on the sideline could hear him screaming in pain at the severity of the injury. So you don't like to judge it based off of reaction, but that does not bode well for how severe this injury will be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Big loss. If it's a serious knee injury, that's a top 5 to 7 safety we're looking at for this year who could be down for the count.
And if it is a big injury for him, I mean, Jamal Adams has hurt us enough, I think. This guy has had a hard time staying healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm out on Jamal Adams forever.
Wow. Is this it?
I think so.
The bridge is finally burned down, Bobo.
But I do agree with what you and I got a little mower time in this weekend. And
there you go.
Listen to you and Johnny's preview pod, and you were guffawed. That might be the complete wrong word for this.
I like it. I want to see where you go with it.
I was guffawed at the fact that Jamal Adams didn't go top 24 in Johnny's.
Yeah.
Were you thinking gobsmacked there? Guffaw's like laughter.
Yeah, I was guffawing.
You were guffawing. There you go. That works. Yeah, that's good. I'm proud of you, Bobo.
Top 24 though preseason. I was
insane.
definitely taking Jamal.
That's nuts. That was the one thing coming out of that episode. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I know there are Jamal haters out there, and he has some holes in his game, but top 24?
Yeah,
I didn't hear yours. I did hear Johnny's, and Johnny's was like, yeah, I'm probably rolling with McKinney and whoever he had as well. I'm sure there was somebody else there.
I think it was
league.
McKinney and Harrison Smith or something that Johnny had.
Yeah, that's fine.
Antoine Winfield Jr., something like that.
Yeah.
But you're right. Dynasty-wise, if somebody's going to come and pay you for Jamal just with the off chance that maybe he returns in a year or so, it's probably time.
There was a great picture and a great tweet on Twitter. I wish I could remember who it was, but said that Jamal was doing this, sitting on the ground. He said, Jamal Adams doing this gesture with his fingers about an inch apart after a interception smacked off his face mask is the most Jamal Adams thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, no, Jamal. Like, you should have had that, bro.
I mean, he's got a nice reel of that at this point. Balls like going off his face.
Mm-hmm.
Pause.
Let's let that soak in for a minute.
You said pause.
Let that marinate. Love
Cut that, Josh.
No, clip that for social, right?
Exactly.
All right, so let's talk about with the injury news. We can hit on some of the waiver targets, and we want to give a shout out to our boy Boo Bam, who put up the waiver wire article. Just went out about 45 minutes ago. Check it out, theidpshow.com. All of our features, all of our kind of perks for paid supporters are free this week. So you get a nice week 1 preview, and then they'll be going behind the paywall for week 2. So Banged Up, the injury report podcast with Lee Andrews, the Boo Bam's waiver wire article. We have the start sit or the Q&A thread that went out that you and Johnny discussed on the episode. You almost forgot it.
Mm-hmm.
Almost did.
And Johnny pulled you back off the cliff. So
Thank you, Johnny.
He's there.
Shout out Johnny for that one. And then Addy, the Dynasty ranks.
That's right.
You're in there. You're working. You're cooking.
Sir.
And they're going to be available for the paid supporters very, very soon.
Yes, sir. Doing my best.
Doing my best.
That's all I know how to do. They're going to be good, though. They're going to be great. I've been
excited.
adding a ton of stuff to them.
Mm-hmm.
There's just going to, it's going to be the, what I'm going to be working on the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Getting them tight.
Getting them right. That's right. What else do we do, Bobo? And I will say, a lot of great dynasty ranks out there, but what I love about Addy's is he just packs them full. It's like when you're going on vacation and you use every square inch of your car's interior space with suitcases and whatnot. That's what Addy does with these ranks. He's packing it in as much as he possibly can.
Agreed. We're going to get in there and update our little IDP
trade value chart.
Trade value chart, which it's probably been a while since we updated that last. It's essentially saying that Baron Browning is worth 1/4 and Bradley Chubb is worth a second and a third, maybe. It's been a while since I've looked at those, and it's probably about time we get those up to snuff.
Yeah, so check that out. It's a free resource, again, available on the IDPshow.com. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so over there.
Bobby's all in on Bradley Chubb.
All in.
I was
2
gonna say,
sacks.
wow.
Hey, he's having a fancy night here.
Damn.
That was some
Fancy
high
night.
trade value. But thank you to everyone who has supported us over there. We had a season-long goal for paid support over there, and we've already surpassed it before week 1 even started.
What's
So
Bradley Chubb worth?
shout out to our listeners.
Real quick. He's got 2 sacks tonight. Third
A third?
by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third.
Addy's thinking a fourth. He's like, yeah, probably a fourth, but I'll say a third.
He's got Chubb.
I mean, in
Chubb.
in sleeper or is it DL?
Yeah, that's true. Probably not like a fourth, maybe.
No.
If he's a linebacker, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Unless you're in one of those leagues where you can maybe swap him over to edge
True
or
position.
D-end or DL in
If he's
the
listed
future.
as D end, yes, I'll be interested.
Very interested. So let's talk about some who you want. This is the cousin of who'd you get, and we're going to hit on some waiver wire targets. Again, shout out Boo Bam for the waiver wire article. Check it out, theidpshow.com. But he highlighted some guys for DL, LB, and DB. And probably my favorite one here was a player we've talked about a lot this offseason because of the name, Divine Diablo, Double D. Wearing the green dot, I think he played close to 95% of snaps. Now, he didn't have the greatest game, 4 tackles and 3 assists, but with the Denzel Perryman exit due to injury, the fact he was wearing the green dot, and the snap percentage for week 1, I'm very encouraged, and I think brighter days might be ahead for Double D.
Yeah. Yeah, 63 snaps, 40.6 PFF grade, but, you know.
I feel like that's just all the Raiders linebackers.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's not far from the truth. Jaren Brown, he played 44 snaps. He had a 40.4 PFF grade. But yeah, Denzel Perryman had a 70.3 PFF grade before he went out, so just 26 snaps for Perryman.
But if you were kind of paying attention to Diablo late last year, the Raiders were kind of testing the waters a little bit with him. Week 13 through 18, they were kind of ramping up his snaps. He played 66% of the snaps. Week 18, had 5 tackles. Also had 2 other games of 9, and 10 tackles. So that is very astute, Josh. I like the who you want there because especially with the Perryman exit, there's going to be not only snaps like there already were, but now there's going to be increased opportunity.
Yeah, 94% of snaps for Double D.
Yeah, that's
in
healthy.
Week 1. So we don't want to overreact, especially to performances. What we really want to focus in on, gentlemen, is the usage.
Yeah.
Not just the snap percentages, but how these players are being deployed. And I was very encouraged by Double D in week 1. Some other nice targets here. What do you guys make of Marcus Williams? This is the traditionally deep safety for the Ravens. Played 100% of snaps, but 10 tackles, 2 assists, and an INT. We mentioned that Marcus Williams, the reason I have him, I think, in 4 of the 10 best balls we did, is he's the perfect type of best ball safety. Because you get to enjoy weeks like week 1 where he goes off, but you don't have to worry about, do I start this guy? Do I sub him in? But what do you think, Addy? Worth a pickup in traditional start-sit leagues?
I don't think so. I think you probably just saw his best game of the year. I mean, he did play a ton of snaps, too. 84 snaps this past week. That's not going to be something that stays consistent. So snaps will certainly come down. But, yeah, I mean, as far as the usage goes, I mean, he played 56 of those, 84? He played 56 of those 84 snaps at free safety. He did get 10 in the slot, 10 in the box, 1 on the line. So, I mean, he did get some snaps closer to the line of scrimmage, which is honestly more than I thought he'd get. But, yeah, I don't think that's going to repeat. If you can sell that guy for something, if you have him for whatever reason.
Chuck Clark also had 9 tackles and a forced fumble as well.
Yeah.
So trade him also.
K-Ham was out there, I think, for 50% of the snaps. Exactly 50, I think.
That's kind of more than I thought, too, after seeing him in the preseason.
I didn't really know what to expect. I'm not really surprised one way or the other with his usage. I think he's we talk about Ernest Jones being a great linebacker handcuff. I think Kyle Hamilton's obviously, you probably got him in Dynasty. I don't know how many redraft leagues this guy was getting picked up, but if you got him,
he'll get dropped, I'd say.
Yeah.
So
go scoop him.
Yeah.
If
something happens to Cut Clark.
And they're, I think this Ravens team is going to be good. So as long as Cut Clark is healthy, I think he's going to be out there.
80.5 PFF grade this past week, 80.1 coverage grades. Yeah, I mean, the Ravens definitely trust this guy.
They trust the vets typically in week 1. So if you see anything promising from a rookie, that's a really good sign because typically that's veteran season. I know you like this one, though, Eddie. And shout out Jace Abbey for this call. Talanoa Hufanga for the 49ers. Do we finally have a San Francisco 49ers safety that's worth anything for IDP, Eddie?
Yeah, I mean, maybe so. The usage was great with him. Now, that game was like extremely sloppy. I was tuning in because I was interested in Trey Lance in his debut. But, yeah, I mean, San Fran was basically just stacking the box every time because, I mean, really they couldn't do much because of the conditions. So, I mean, game script-wise and usage-wise, it was a perfect game for him. But he looked good. I mean, he was around the ball consistently, probably more than anyone else. And, yeah, I mean, they were using him basically like a linebacker. He was playing down to the line, at the line of scrimmage quite a bit. The hair looks damn good.
Yeah, I mean,
you get a little, you get the Palomalu vibes.
That's right. Oh, boy, wouldn't that be fun if we had a little poor man's Palomalu here.
But, I mean, again, it was a monster game for him, so, I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if that's his best game of the year.
Oh, gosh. Cody Barton grabbing at his knee after a nice little TFL on Javonte Williams.
I was going to say, Cody Barton having a nice little game in this one.
I think
Jordan already has a sack.
Yeah,
Brooks has had, I think, 10 tackles last time we checked. So
Brooks playing well also.
You hate to see that.
You talk about a team that's going to need 2 linebackers that just lost Jamal Adams.
I swear, wasn't it Johnny saying that the backup linebacker for the Seahawks was a fullback?
Like Bellamore, I believe.
Yeah. So what about this one, Bobo? I liked this one. And we try to hit a variety of league sizes and roster construction with these waiver wire ads. So this guy is rostered probably in most leagues. But old Gregory Russo was, along with Von Miller, I thought the most impressive pieces on that Buffalo defensive line, and his snap percentage in particular was very encouraging. What do you think about old Greg? Worth a pickup in shallower leagues?
Well, speaking of old Greg, we need to give old Greg Rosenthal a little bit of credit because he basically said coming out of camp that it's Russo and it's Von Miller. And even though we know that the Bills love to rotate these edge guys and keep everybody fresh, and not only did these guys look good, but Boogie Basham looked good as well. I think Epinesa also had a sack. Greg Russo is somebody that I've been trying to acquire Greg Russo basically everywhere that I can for the last couple months. And I think the further we get into the season, the harder that this is going to become. I know the 4 solos, 1 TFL, and 1 sack is not like a ton of stats yet, but I think Russo's snaps are going to increase. Maybe not a ton because they still are going to be rotational, but gosh, man, you've got so much help there. That defense looks good again. Tremaine actually had a pretty decent little game he put together. The Bills are going to be stupid good all year, and it's going to give these guys an opportunity to just pin their ears back.
I think so as well. And it's worth pointing out here, Addy, that some of these guys like Von Miller, great example, old Greg, these kind of big play machines in rotations like what the Buffalo defensive line is, these are, for me, flex plays. I'm not necessarily looking at guys like Russo or Von Miller. Maybe, depending on the matchup, I would start them in that DL or LB slot, however they're classified on your platform. But like I started Von Miller as a flex play this week. And that's typically been how I've viewed him. He's listed as a linebacker in RSO, so that's part of it. It changes the equation if they get the DL tag tremendously. But if you're kind of hamstrung by this LB designation for these guys, these are flex plays for me.
Yeah, because I mean, Von Miller proved, like he did this week, that he can win you a week. I mean, you just need 2 sacks from him. That's it. And the way because the leagues we play in, they're all big play scoring. So I mean, that'll that'll give you a clear advantage over your opponent if you get 2 sacks out of somebody like that. So I love Von Miller, man.
He looked great.
He looked great.
Really, and that more than anything, just watching him and kind of seeing him dip around some of these offensive linemen was very impressive.
And that defense is so good that they'll be able to let him get rest some weeks. Like that's what you saw against the Rams. You know, they got up so big that he didn't have to play much in the 4th.
Sure.
Yeah, if they can let him rest, man, unleashing him in your fantasy playoffs as like a big play kind of chess piece.
But he'll have,
that's beautiful.
You know, I think the floor for him is what you saw, like 50%. Like he'll have his weeks where he gets 70%.
I agree.
He's still got it, man. I mean, he's the best pass rusher of the last 10 years, pretty much, right, for us. So
he's the active sack leader I saw, right? Is that what the stat they were trotting out there? The opening game. So
wow.
Yeah, some good waiver wire possibilities there. Go check out the article, theidpshow.com. But gentlemen, let's pause here for a moment and look at this beautiful Mountain Dew that we have been blessed with by myself. Thank you. Bless you. Mountain Dew Zero Sugar Voodoo. This was a flavor I got introduced to, the regular flavor. Yeah, Bobo, here, hold it up to your camera, and I'll throw it on you. So you can see Mountain Dew Voodoo Zero Sugar. It's a mystery flavor. So throwing it back to truly the big 3 days, we're going to do a little taste test here on the pod. So cheers to you all. Hopefully you won your matchups, but this one's for you guys out there.
Great. A little annoyed that Josh got me the zero sugar. I wanted the full thing. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers.
That's pretty nice. I don't know how I would describe the flavor, Bobo, but that's not bad. My throat was getting a little dry, too, so needed some refreshment. But that's good. I told Addie, it's just Mountain Dew. Like, what's the flavor? I don't know. It's just Mountain Dew, man.
Tastes like a zero sugar drink.
It tastes like a melted down gummy bear.
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it that much.
It's fine.
It's a little peachy. I can't believe you like it.
I don't taste peach as much. Maybe
I
pineapple?
Wouldn't recommend it.
So explain to me the zero sugar benefits behind this. Just no sugar at all,
Yeah, no sugar.
but still caffeinated.
Yeah, I think
It's
you're
not good for you, right?
They put an aspartame in here.
Oh, aspartame, yeah. So you're getting all that goodness. I think you're probably rocking about 120 milligrams of caffeine in this bad boy. So we're not going to sleep tonight.
What's a cup of coffee?
113 milligrams. Cup of coffee is like 90. So we're chugging a cup of coffee tonight.
I'm gonna let
boys.
you finish that, Josh.
So you're welcome for that. So glad that I went out of my
I'll
way
finish it tomorrow.
to get that for us. But
I promise you I'll finish it too.
yeah, I bet you will.
How new is this
I
thing?
love this gift. I'm not going to throw this in the garbage.
I watched a video not too long ago of a dude who bought a Crystal Pepsi on eBay that was from like 1980
Jeez.
and just chugged it and then straight into just freaking violent
Projectile
vomiting.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that one.
Y'all ever
That's-
have a Crystal Pepsi? I don't think I ever had.
I think they released those recently again.
Really?
Not too long ago. They were good.
All that crap comes back around. The real sugar Mountain Dews that were in like the glass bottles.
I remember
Ever
those.
get back into those?
Had the hillbilly on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
the
redneck.
They were made with real sugar.
Yeah.
Cane sugar.
I
Sounds
think
like-
it's technically like a moonshiner.
Yeah, sounds like something I would like.
So
got any
Kentucky,
moonshine?
in certain parts of Kentucky, they have what's called mountain mouth. It's from
Mountain Dew mouth?
Mountain Dew.
Eastern
Yeah.
Kentucky.
didn't Diane Sawyer do like a Dateline special on this? Like kids getting Mountain Dew in their baby bottles.
Yeah, this stuff has really ruined a lot of lives, especially in Kentucky.
So good.
Yes.
We endorse it though. Check it out.
Tough year for Kentucky also. There's some out in Mountain Mouth country. There's bad rains here. Last little flooding action.
Yeah, they're trying to stop us and take us down, but they won't. We're a resilient bunch. I'll say it.
I don't know who you were talking about or
Sure,
what was
sure.
being said there, but you
Them
brought.
naders, they get them naders come through the floods.
I was trying to remember. Yeah, that was just been a weird weather year for Kentucky.
Josh hit the Tom Petty, won't back down.
Yeah, let me pull that up. It's on the fifth board we got.
So
here
what
right here.
happened here before we just completely end this game? I see it's fourth quarter with 13 seconds left. Did they just miss a field goal? Looks like Geno's back out on offense. Pete smiling.
Boy, is Seattle about to win week 1 here?
They're
did.
showing
Wow.
Brandon McManus. He must have missed a field goal.
So let's keep
We
it
missed it.
rolling here,
Dude, Geno's
boys,
23 of 28.
and talk about the top 24 scores. We always like to check in week 1 and just sort of get a pulse check for what we think of some of these high scores. A lot of these are going to make sense. I'll tell you, though, I know we have big play scoring. These are all big three scoring, which is big play. But, God, the IDPs went bananas this week. I haven't seen a week like this, especially a week one, where you had this many IDPs north of like 25 points. I mean, these are big-time performances.
They were showing off.
So I think when I for the title of this episode, I think I'm going to go like veteran edge rushers go bananas or something like that. Because
what were we calling all offseason, baby?
That's right. Respect for the old guys. We're old guys, and we wanted to show these dudes some love. So it's at the top 12 here, gentlemen. Alex Highsmith put up 45. Khalil Mack, 44. TJ Watt, we mentioned he was number 3 with 38 points. Jerry Hughes, revenge game against the Colts. That was mean. Did not appreciate that. 37.35. Myles Garrett, no surprise, 37 points. Jeffrey Simmons, you love to see it, 32 points. Then Von Miller, we mentioned him, 29.7. Kwity Paye, this warmed my heart. He was pretty quiet on like 71% of snaps, I think it was. But went ballistic with a couple of tackles for loss, couple sacks, 6 solos, and an assist for 29.35 points. Trayvon Walker, gentlemen, 26.2. The rookie has arrived in Jacksonville. Deron Payne, 25.8 points. Rashad Weaver, mentioned as the backup for Harold Landry, came through, 25.2 points. And then Boogie Basham, that Buffalo defensive line absolutely feasted against the Rams, 23.6 points. Which name out of this top 12 of defensive linemen, gentlemen, is most surprising to you?
Well, it's got to be Jerry Hughes. I mean, he hasn't done that in quite some time. Although, I mean, if you've been looking at pressure rate and pressures and all that stuff, that dude's been up there as one of the best to get into the quarterback and creating havoc. So he just hasn't had much of an opportunity. So he definitely has that there in Houston. We mentioned him on the pod, the preview pod, somebody that you should keep on your radar. And yeah, I didn't think he was going to come through like this, but
I think Houston is sort of that team this year where you could see a lot of production from a lot of really stinky names. Because
they're not a bad team.
They're not bad. They don't have a lot of like top tier talent. But they've got a lot of veterans. Lovie Smith is going to coach that defense up really well. I don't think they're very talent rich on offense. Davis Mills is maybe the third or fourth best backup in the league. I don't know that I want this guy as my starter, but yeah, that team could probably win 4 or 5 games. I think they'll sneak up on some teams week to week. But
Mark,
yeah,
got to give Sam some credit for back in his DL preview pod, even bringing up the fact that Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison just traveled together.
That's right.
Down in Houston together.
It's like they got a 2-for-1 flight deal, and he's like, well, I guess I'll sign down there too,
sure,
right?
I'll come with you, bud.
I'll hop on there.
Are you guys picking up Jerry Hughes?
Probably not, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably am.
Are you?
I think so. I think this could be like
What kind of designation does he get?
he's a defensive end in RSO.
Oh, that's nice.
And you're right. There's some, I still like Jonathan Greenard. Obviously, they do have my boy Ogbonnia Okoronkwo from the Rams that went down there, who, as long as he can stay healthy, he showed some signs a little bit last year. That Houston team is maybe not as bad as we thought it was going to be. It's still bad, but maybe not that bad.
So what about Rashad Weaver? Any interest there in Harold Landry's backup?
Yeah, he certainly looked good. You can do a lot more. You're always looking for guys like that, right?
Yeah.
If you can.
It's not like a flash. He's stepping into that role, right?
Yeah, he's going to continue to get opportunity. If he's performing well early on, they're going to continue to plug him in there. So yes, he's worth an ad for sure.
I always go back to what Josh said years ago on the pod, that fantasy football and football in general is a war of attrition. And especially week 1, it feels like, dang, how many people, oh my gosh, Barnett's out. Oh my gosh, Jamal Adams. Oh my gosh, TJ Watt. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people need to be competing with their benches as much as they are their starting lineups.
Yeah.
Because people are going to get hurt. You're going to lose a linebacker week 3, and you're all of a sudden going to have to plug in somebody who, if you're not paying attention, you may be grabbing somebody really nasty on waivers, as opposed to grabbing somebody now, letting them sit, letting them produce on your bench, try to compete with other teams on your bench, really, because those injuries are going to happen.
Yeah, playing defense with your bench, right?
Yeah.
Keeping guys off of other teams and blocking them for picking those dudes up. So we mentioned Weaver. We mentioned Jerry Hughes' potential pickups. Let's hit the bottom half of the top 24 for DL here. Joey Bosa, good to see him on this list, clocking in at number 13, 23 points. 23 points for Dominique Robinson of the Chicago Bears. This was a name
Rookie.
that, Boobam brought up in his waiver wire article. So, that team is going through a transition period. So if you want to see it, maybe another week with Robinson, I don't blame you. But I think he's one of these young guys that could step into opportunity on a team that is tearing it down to the studs.
Yeah, and what's in front of him is Travis Gibson and
Al-Qadim Muhammad.
So he's could easily leapfrog both those guys. There's nothing special there, Yeah.
Yeah, so Robinson with 23 points, Jordan Phillips, two Buffalo guys back-to-back here, pretty much both with about 22 points. Jordan Phillips at 15, Russo at 16, Matt Judon, Bobo, here at 17 with 21.65. AJ Epinesa, pretty much every single Buffalo Bills defensive lineman scored above 20 points by Big Three scoring against the Rams. That will not happen every week, I can promise you that. But A.J. Epinesa, 21.55 points. Grady Jarrett was out there working against that Saints offensive line, 21.15 points. Cam Hayward, love seeing him on this list with 20 points. Rashawn Gary, 19.55 points. Bobo, there you go. Max XXX Crosby clocking in at 22 with 18.5 points. The other Bosa bro, Nick Bosa, at 23 with 18.35. And my flag plant at defensive line, Daniil Hunter, at 24 with 18.15. Just a solid week overall, boys.
Yeah.
I think if you had one of these top IDPs along the defensive line, you came away very happy with the production you got.
Yeah, a lot of the guys we spent high picks on came through with it, came through for us. So you always love to see that. But yeah, next week it could be a very different story. You just gotta. We're still early. Let's not freak out either way.
Let's not overreact here. I think this is more, Bobo, to just shed a light on any guys that maybe are outliers on this list. Are we interested?
It's almost like the Venn diagram of production and snaps. Let's look at this small little segment on the inside to where who had the most snaps, who saw the most amount of production, because guys like AJ Epinesa, some of these guys who aren't seeing a ton of snaps are not going to see this type of production week in and week out. Now, the Rashawn Garys, the Max Crosbys, the Nick Bosas, the Daniil Hunters, the guys that are seeing a lot of opportunities and that are on the field a lot, and are in good situations. I mean, Daniil Hunter might be somebody who could win your league this year because you probably didn't have to give a ton for him in your drafts. He was going as probably like the DL 6 to 12 range, but could very easily be a top 6 defensive end in 2022, especially with, even Za'Darius. Za'Darius was a castaway in a lot of drafts this year just because kind of people forgot about him.
I love it.
That duo.
Greg Rosenthal called it the rare didn't say hi in the hallway revenge game for Za'Darius Smith. Did you hear this?
No.
Plug back in on the Around the NFL podcast here as the season kicks off, and they mentioned that Za'Darius Smith was pissed off at the Packers because when he was injured and rehabbing, guys would look down or look the other way when passing him in the hallway.
Wow.
They wouldn't even say hi to him. It was like he was off the team because he was injured. So this is it's a very specific revenge game, but Za'Darius Smith got his revenge.
Great celebration, the army crawl and grenade thing.
I just love Za'Darius Smith. He's so much fun. Love seeing him in the purple and gold. Would you call that gold? Purple and yellow?
Sure, it's gold.
Yeah. Some shade of yellow gold,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But yeah,
Cool.
The point here, Bobo, you mentioned, you brought, I think said this very well, is that we bring up these top scorers to see if there's anyone that doesn't belong. Should we look at picking them up? But we expect this.
Yeah.
We expect this from these top players. They're going to have weeks like this.
Yeah.
As Addy mentioned, not every week. That's how IDP works. IDP scoring week to week fluctuates way more. If this is your first year playing IDP, don't be disappointed next week if Daniil Hunter or Max Crosby puts up 5 or 6 points. That's just how this goes. But it was fun for week one. We get the football itch scratched, and some of these guys came through in a big way for your lineups.
Yeah, it's a lot like, offensively. I played against Devin Duvernay this week, and I thought, this guy's really starting Devin Duvernay. And then I checked Sunday afternoon. Duvernay's 4 for 50 with 2 touchdowns.
That's fantasy football in a nutshell.
Good call, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know that Duvernay is going to see that week in and week out, but there are a lot of Duvernay types on here.
Yeah, that's the thing. We just want to highlight some of the randos, and that's fun. That's why I like checking in on these top scorers week to week. Is it's like,
watch Duvernay go.
Who
for
did
like
this?
16
Yeah,
touchdowns
Duvernay's like
year.
the offensive player of the year.
He was like a huge producer in I think it was the Pac-12. I think he came out of Texas. But anyways, sorry.
Bob or Addy, why don't we shift here to linebacker and hit on the top 24 guys, including the number 1 scorer at the linebacker position this week, a player very close to my heart.
Yeah, Mr. Devin White put up 35.2 points this weekend, 7 solos, 1 assist, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 1 pass breakup, and 2 QB hits. Didn't grade very well, though, per usual, 58.4. But still, this dude just
84 tackling grade.
Yeah.
84 tackling grade. And also, I mean, you know, he does, I guess, clearly have issues in coverage and stuff, but he makes up for it by making huge plays.
Mm-hmm.
I know he's on waivers in our All-22 league, which tells you all you need to know about maybe the quality of his play, but for IDP production, maybe he wasn't. Maybe there were some other
Sounds
juicy
like
names
a guy
on there.
Adam's going to get.
He's on my team already, Josh.
Is he?
I think he is.
I'm sorry for
He
that.
is.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, awesome start for Devin White. Camus Grugier-Hill, 18 tackles, 14 solos, 4 assists, 27.5 points, 58.4 PFF grade. So
For as sloppy as that Houston Indy game was, they really turned out some IDP performers for week 1.
I'm sorry, that was not his PFF grade. His PFF grade was 37.4.
So not great. Somehow worse than Devin White.
Big difference.
Yeah. What did you say it was?
I said it was Devin White, which was 58.4.
Oh,
but
yeah.
No, it was 37.4, 43.3 coverage grade. So, yeah, Grugier-Hill's also always been a terrible grader himself. So, I mean, at some point, we might see Christian Harris. You know, if that stuff
That would be
continues.
fun. I would like that.
And also, Houston may not, you know, they're not going to be contenders, most likely. So, they'll probably be shifting as the season wears on. Micah Parsons, just absolute monster. 27.45 points, 4 solos, 1 assist, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, 85.7 PFF grade, 88.4 pass rush grade. Just yeah, I mean he's the best defender in the league.
Yep.
I think. You know,
He certainly looked it on Sunday night, man.
Did you see the PFF stat at the beginning when they introduced him that he was one of 120 linebackers or whatever that PFF statted out last year? That was pretty cool.
yeah. I
Wow.
saw Macri said he got some snaps at cornerback too.
Yeah, he had one, I
What?
think.
Yeah.
I think I watched it too. I don't remember. Who did they play again?
They played the Bucks.
I think it was one of those random little they sent Rashad White out into the flat,
Okay.
and Parsons went out with him.
But maybe they moved
do
him to
it.
safety with Jaron Curse missing some time.
I mean, why not? Let's just start him everywhere. Start him at defensive tackle. Let him get some kicks in here.
Sure.
This next name, Maddie, was surprising but not surprising because this is what this guy does. Jordan Hicks,
Should have known.
Yeah.
Should have known.
alongside Eric Kendricks, 27.1 points. This next guy, though, I know you're very excited about. Who was number 5?
Pete Warner, 22.75 points, 12 solos, 1 assist, 1 tackle for loss, 1 forced fumble. Graded pretty decently, too. 58.1 PFF grade, 62.6 coverage grade. But the most important stat was the 81% of the snaps. Like I mentioned on the Paul with Johnny, if he's playing above 80% of the snaps, he's going to be a must start for you every single week. So love to see this from Pete Warner. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Addy, on the board for that one.
Yes, sir. Another nice one coming up. Michael Walker. He could have some value for a long time. I guess depending on when Deion Jones comes back. But 20.4 points, 4 solos, 2 assists, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 1 QB hit. Graded decently too. 62.5 PFF grade, 67.8 coverage grade, 79.6 tackle grade.
Oh my gosh, I just saw Roquan's grade.
Roquan Smith.
Oh, man. Roquan, bro. This is why the Bears did not want to pay you, by the
Yeah.
way.
But I mean, it was again. This was a monsoon of a game.
Yeah,
I
true.
wouldn't look too much into any of these data points that come out of this one. I'm just trying to make excuses for Trey Lance.
He's just in denial that Jimmy G's going to be starting week 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, Roquan did what we expect him to do, 18.9 points. Drew Tranquil, 18.5. Juwan Bentley, 18.45, clocking in at number 9. EJ Speed at number 10. It was fun to see EJ Speed rack up the stats that he had. Three solos, 4 assists, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 1 QB hit. But, folks, Leonard is going to be back, if not next week, in week 3. So it's Zaire Franklin, him and Bobby Okereke were the 2 linebackers. EJ Speed just popped on a low percentage of snaps. So,
he's been doing that, though. Didn't he have some pop games last year?
I mean,
And he seems like he makes some plays happen like
almost
that.
80 PFF grade.
yeah, I think he's a good player.
Last name Speed. I love that.
You know, I wonder how he looked on the old player profiler, but not a guy I'm interested in picking up just because I don't think he has value. Especially if Shaq Leonard's back next week, it's him, it's Bobby O, and then Zaire Franklin slots in as the LB3.
Yeah.
So enjoy. If you had EJ Speed for some reason, congrats, because you got a great week out of him. So Bobby Wagner clocking in, Bobo at number 11, 18.15 points. And then Miles Jack, we called him 2022's Denzel Perryman, off to a great start there with Pittsburgh, 17.5 points. This Steelers defense, my God, I think Minka's probably going to be our top DB scorer on the week maybe. So
Yeah, man, they just got guys that like to put up points.
seriously, you love to see it. So Miles Jack there at number 12. Bobo, any surprising names jump out to you from the top 12?
Who we trusting out of this group? We trusting Devin White?
Definitely not trusting EJ Speed. Definitely not trusting Juwan Bentley.
We trusting Camus?
Definitely not trusting Drew Tranquil. Definitely not trusting Camus. Everyone else, I feel pretty.
What about
strong
Jordan Hicks? Like,
Yeah.
what's your temperature on
Yeah,
Hicks?
sure.
You feel good? Is he like a LB3
Yep.
for your team?
Yep,
we
probably gonna outperform that though. He's probably gonna be an LB2, but yeah, he's a guy that just continues to get disrespected. But he's gonna pile up the tackles.
We didn't want to trust him last year, and we should have.
So you don't trust Drew Tranquil?
Not really. No, he only played 60% of the snaps last week. I think Kenneth Murray played 70% of the snaps.
I'm sorry, what?
Kenneth Murray played 70%.
70. I hadn't seen this yet. 70% of the snaps.
Kyle
think-
Van Noy was 40-something percent.
Oh my gosh.
So
They're
Reed-
just
Reeder
ropey
didn't play
doping
at
us.
Reeder did not play at all.
Yeah.
So
Gitchis was not
no,
on the field at all.
no, but yeah, I mean Tranquil looked the best and had the best coverage and best grades and all that stuff. But yeah, they gave Murray the most snaps.
That is insane.
5 tackles
What is
on
happening?
41 snaps. for
Yeah,
Murray.
Drew Tranquil, great player for all 22, 77.6 overall grade. I think I've got him in all 22 and had him down at like 5th on the depth chart, so we'll be bumping him up next week.
You said not to trust Juwan Bentley because he's a New England Patriot.
Yeah,
Everybody needs to remember that.
but I mean, if you do, I mean, he's a fine linebacker.
There have been years where I'm like, there's got to be somebody up there, and then the next week, all of a sudden his snaps are down and they're playing. They're back to the safety
Yeah.
in the box type situation.
You never feel confident putting that
Exactly.
guy in the lineup.
Speaking of more surprising names at the linebacker position, Patrick Queen was here at 13 with 17.
He clacked in.
He clacked in. I think clocked and racked up maybe
Sure.
was where we were going with that.
That's-
13th, 17.25 points, Bobo. But
Yeah.
I believe Queen played 100% of the snaps, and I think he was one of only 4 or 5 linebackers to do that this week 1. So more product of volume. We know Patrick Queen is not great. 53.8 overall grade, 45.3 tackle grade.
Improving though.
But-
from what he's been.
It's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
up. We're back in. And then Houston, what is going on here? Christian Kirksey. I'll tell you what was going on. The Colts got back into the game running the ball with Jonathan Taylor. So a lot of tackle opportunities for their linebackers. Christian Kirksey there at 14 with 15.75 points. Jermaine Pratt, Johnny mentioned him on the episode you guys did. 15 points there. Good for 15th overall with the Bengals. Nick Bolton. Hello, Nick Bolton.
Let's go.
15 points. And then Damien Wilson, Carolina. Weird usage going on. Luvu and Shaq Thompson, but Damien Wilson put up 14.9 points on limited snaps. Good for 17th overall. Quincy Williams, shout out. I always forget the school. Addie, help me out. What is Quincy Williams?
Murray State,
Is it Murray
I
State?
believe.
We always
Go
do it.
Racers.
Yeah, go race. Well, it's one at Morehead
Is it
State.
Murray or Moorhead?
Okay, one of those two. Shout out to that Kentucky school where Quincy Williams
Green
is
Herd.
from. 14.5 points. Devondre Campbell, 13.75. Foyce DeLuacun, 13.5. My other flag plant, David Long, 13.5 here at 21. Alex Anzalone, who was just, boy, he looked bad. 13.25 points, graded at a 40.3. So I think his
the fantasy point don't give a damn about the BMF grade. That's it.
I think his day of reckoning is coming, considering Rodrigo was the number 1 graded linebacker for the Lions. Boys, it's officially here. We can put the bat signal up in the sky for Nate Tice. Zaven, hashtag Zaven season is here. 13.25 points, good for 23rd overall. And then one of the legends, Levante David, at 24th overall with 13 points. Addy, who gets you most fired up looking at this list? Is it our boy Zaven?
Yeah, for sure. Zaven Collins is someone that I'm super hyped about. 95% of the snaps this weekend. So
it's here. We wondered what it would look like, and at least for week 1, very encouraging start.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise, who am I hyped about on this list? I mean, Nick Bolton only got 77% of the snaps. You know, we'd love to see him get more than that, but I mean, he's going to be someone that's
more than I thought he would get.
He'll stuff the stat sheet when he gets an opportunity.
But again, going back to Macri's expected tackles statistic from last year, Nick Bolton was super, super high. And if we're looking at that again on 77% of the snaps, you've got essentially 11 tackles. 87% defensive overall grade there for PFF. I don't know, man. Nick Bolton, I love you. He's so good to watch. He's so fun to watch, you know. And even I think Willie Gay got a little bit banged up, but I think Willie Gay was playing pretty well also. That Kansas City, it's just going to be Kansas City and the Bills pretty soon.
Well, we got Kansas City and the Chargers on Thursday Night Football.
Gosh.
Oh, wow.
Let us go then, folks. That is going to be.
Hopefully Keenan is okay.
I think Keenan's probably out this week, but
Josh Palmer,
Mike Williams, that should be fun.
Jalen Guyton.
This little three-pack here, Devondre Campbell, Foyce DeLuca, David Long. It's not, I mean, even if they don't have like the 20, 30-point games, it's good to see some of our guys that
that's their floor.
Right.
That's
I think
worst games of the year.
13.5 points across the board for these guys. Campbell with 13.75. I think that is, if they got less than that, I would consider that a bad game.
Yep.
This is average, I feel like.
Anybody here that you have that you're like, probably maybe looking to get off of him after a little hot start? We trading Pat Queen after this week?
Boy, I don't know, man. 100% of snaps. I mean, the dude may be a little gross in the PFF category, but
I'll tell you, I'm trying to wash my hands of Anzalone.
It's coming to an end, folks. I mean, the long blonde hair can only take you so far when you're as bad at tackling as he is.
Literally, no one's giving you anything for that dude.
Yeah, he's the Tay Crowder of 21.
But yeah, I think Patrick Queen's a good call. I mean, there's not a lot of sexy names on this back half.
Look at this bro. Look at this bro.
Yeah, we're watching Russell Wilson highlights. He's an absolutely insane person.
Devondre Campbell's going to be a nice sell for you at some point, I think. You know, extremely excited to see Quay Walker do his thing this weekend.
That was fun. Yeah.
Do we have him in here?
Are we there yet?
No, because he got banged up. Yeah, that was unfortunate. But we had a phrase for that. Bustin' makes me feel good, I think it was. Scheme bustin'?
Scheme bustin'.
Scheme bustin'. We do love
that.
He's
a scheme buster. Here's our first scheme buster, ladies and gents.
That's
Quay
right.
Walker, he's the poster child of it.
We're going to get into ambiguous situations here in the last segment of the episode. So let's talk about some DBs, and then we'll get into some of these just kind of situations that were a little murky.
Selling Zaven Collins, maybe?
No, man. I think this is what you're waiting for, right?
And we didn't see
45.5 PFF grade.
And Vigil didn't do much.
Vigil, yeah.
For me, so that was kind of the validation that I needed for okay, let's lock in Zaven season.
Boy, but that Arizona defense looks so bad.
Well,
how's it going to get better?
The offense looks bad too.
I think they just got exposed. I think that Kansas City team is way better than we all thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that team might be like a 14-3 type of team.
Who was saying it a while back? I think it was Rich Eisen saying, why are we sleeping on Patrick Mahomes with him not having Tyreek? I mean, now he's just going to spread the ball around. I even like what he said about Mecole this week, that he's like, yeah, I probably owe Mecole a couple of touchdowns this year. Like, he knows he threw to Tyreek too much.
He knows he can pretty much put it on whatever guy he wants to.
Let me read these DBs for you, Josh.
Please,
I'm going to hit the top 12, give you a little break.
All right.
Minkah Fitzpatrick there, 39.6 points on the week. 10 solos, 4 assists, 1 INT, 1 defensive touchdown. A couple other points. He had a 90 overall PFF grade.
Minkah was a menace this week, bro.
For week 1. Minkah was awesome. Marcus Williams there, 31.3 points for Baltimore, 10 solos and 2 assists. Talanoa Hufanga. They're the overall safety 3 in week 1 of 2022. Welcome to the fantasy football season with 28.85 points. Our baby, Adams baby, Tracy Walker there with 28.65 points.
Had him
solos.
on the bench.
Wow. That's
Had Winfield and Javon Holland. Felt great. Both those guys played well, but then Tracy Walker just goes nuclear.
Yeah, he went ham.
Fun to see.
Brandon Jones there down in Miami. Joshy's boy, 27.55 points. He had 11 overall tackles. He had a sack that he tacked in there also. L'Jarius Sneed, another guy that you've heard on this podcast, 26.7 points, 8 solos, 1 TFL, 1 sack. Derek Forrest.
Dark Forrest? I'm not familiar with this character.
Washington safety, 23.85 points. He had 4 solos, 1 assist, 1 INT.
Don't miss that PFF grade.
91.5.
Shoo-wee. He's going to get some playing time.
Was this the Cam Curl replacement?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's plenty of talk about this guy getting some playing time even when Curl comes back.
Name to know, Derek Forrest, Darrick, if you're looking it up on. Nate Hobbs there with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Shout out. This was a Macri special. He had him ranked, I think, as his 7th cornerback for week 1. And I stream CBs in our main league. And so I was like, what do you think about this Nate Hobbs guy? He's like, yeah, I think he could be a good pickup. So picked him in, subbed him in, 23.75 points. Thank you, Macri.
Thanks, Macri.
83.8 defensive grade. Bryce Callahan for the Los Angeles Chargers, 20.5 points on the week. Jonathan Owens there in Houston, safety, 20.75 points, 11 solos, 4 assists. James Bradbury in 11th, 20.7 points. And then Desmond King rounding out the top 12 DBs, 20 points, 5 solos, 1 assist, 1 TFL. You know one thing that I'm seeing out of a lot of these guys here in this top 12? Minka, big play, INT. Marcus Williams, big play, INT. Talanoa Hufanga, 2 tackles for loss, 1 INT. Tracy Walker, 1 TFL, 1 sack. Brandon Jones, 1 sack. L'Jarius Sneed, 1 sack. Derek Forrest, 1 INT.
This is how
a lot
it
of big
goes,
play groups
right?
here.
Yeah, that's why you typically I had this kind of epiphany. It was last season. I was like, why are there so many cornerbacks? Like, are cornerbacks kind of like the new hotness for IDP? No, it's just because every week when you look at it, it's the cornerback that's going to have a pick, that's going to have a sack, It's the big play monsters, especially at DB. And that's why you see a lot of cornerbacks, because they are the ones getting the INTs that can, flip the scoring for the week.
I will say, though, I don't remember a start to the year where we had this many just big safety games, and also just the big tackle numbers for these safeties. Minka Fitzpatrick, 14 tackles. Marcus Williams, 12 tackles. Hufanga had 11 tackles. Tracy Walker had 13 tackles. Brandon Jones had 11 tackles. L'Jarius Sneed had 8 solos and
a TFL.
He had no assist.
Doesn't look like it. No.
Anyway, though, I mean, that's just a abnormal amount of tackles.
That's what I was saying. The IDPs were balling out. I think it really manifested with the DB position. I mean, these guys,
now there was a few games
went to overtime,
and there was a lot of snaps played in some. So maybe
that
had
helps.
something to do with a lot of these. But
this is another reason too why you don't overdraft DBs, because Minka you drafted pretty high, but Marcus Williams pretty much an unknown. Talanoa Hufanga, waiver wire. Tracy Walker you've heard about. Brandon Jones you've heard about. L'Jarius Sneed is a corner. I mean, he's really deep in a lot of drafts. Derek Forrest, waivers. Nate Hobbs, waivers. Bryce Callahan, waivers. Jonathan Owens, waivers. James Bradbury, cornerback. Desmond King. Desmond King, the other cool thing about him, I'm pretty sure that he's returning kicks and punts for Houston, which you need to pay attention to your leagues.
I will say, obviously, we love Brandon Jones. We love L'Jarius Sneed. We've brought them up a lot on this show before. Talanoa Hufanga, you heard about him from Jace. A lot of folks were high on him. I know he was a Joey the Tooth favorite as well, since he's a 49ers fan. We mentioned Marcus Williams as a good best ball target because of the big play potential. Minka, about. He was fantastic last season, really broke through finally for IDP. But Tracy Walker, he's the one, Addy. I want your pulse check on Tracy Walker. What's your temperature? He's not going to score darn near 29 points every week, but is this guy top 12 potentially?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and Detroit paid him really well, and there's just not a lot of talent there. But Tracy's always been a guy that's good at making plays, good at getting in the backfield. Yeah, he's one of the few bright spots on that team.
And Lord knows he does not have a lot of help in front of him at the linebacker position.
He got ejected last week.
Did he?
Yeah, he smacked somebody.
Oh, well, sometimes guys need to get smacked.
Kind of like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
So let's see if we have some safeties turn up here, Bobo, in the bottom half of the 24. Let's keep it rolling here with number 13.
Recently brought back from the Cleveland Browns, Troy Hill, Los Angeles Rams, 19.5 points. He had 8 tackles and 1 INT. Ahkello Witherspoon, Pittsburgh DB there, 19 points. He had 8 tackles and 1 INT. Asante Samuel, Los Angeles Chargers. I'm just saying the teams because you might not even know who
That's
some
right.
of these guys play for.
I don't know who Dark Forest was.
Antoine Winfield Jr., you know who he plays for. 18.5 points on the week. Derwin James, everybody knows who he plays for. 18.2 points, 17th overall safety in week 1. Harrison Smith, your Viking safety there, 17.75 points on the week. Donovan Wilson, Dallas safety. Let's go back real quick, too. Harrison Smith, 87.5 overall PFF grade. Let's go. Marco Wilson, Arizona DB, 17.75 points. Cameron Sutton, 21th overall, 21st. 21th.
Words are hard,
It's almost
Bobo.
11 o'clock, and I have 2 children. It's my wife's birthday. Megan, I love you, baby.
Happy birthday, Megan.
Thanks for letting me come to the podcast, baby. Cameron Sutton, 21. Javon Holland, another Miami DB there at 22. DJ Reed, another guy that Adam likes. And to round it all out, cornerback for the Buffalo Bills, who was really, really good in 2021, Tehran Johnson, 16.25 points in week 1.
There we go. A lot more of the traditional safeties, I think, Addy, that we expect to see on this list. But it was fun seeing some of these kind of deeper playing guys that we think are playmakers like Antoine Winfield, like Javon Holland showing up here.
Like we've said, usage does not matter for a lot of those guys, and
So,
those are 2 types.
Let me ask you this. Does that kind of categorization not apply for Marcus Williams in your mind?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't put him in the same bucket as these guys?
No.
Here's what you chase in these guys. You look at the tackles because the tackles are, easy to replicate. What you want to stay away from is the big play stuff. If a guy has an INT, if a guy has a sack, if a guy has a couple of TFLs, that's cool. But that's kind of hard to do from week to week. So you're, Troy Hill's maybe okay. He's got 8 tackles. He did have an INT, which increases his value here. But then you've got guys like Asante Samuel, who had 4 solos and 1 INT. Yeah, that's cool. But for DBs, I probably want to go elsewhere from him. Whereas Antoine Winfield, 6 tackles, has a good PFF grade. Derwin James, we're all going to play. Harrison Smith, we're all going to play right here. DBs are just weird. Look at snaps. Look at where they're lining up. Follow at PFF Macri on the Twitters.
I'm kind of interested in, obviously, who's going to replace Jaron Curse. Looks like Donovan Wilson, I guess, will be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I mean, Malik Hooker's out there as well, but
Maybe Micah Parsons. Who knows?
Yeah,
potentially. But it looks like Donovan Wilson had 23 snaps in the box, 21 at free safety, 3 in the slot, 4 on the line. So, I mean, that's great usage. So,
yeah.
More than any other position, and we've talked about this till we were blue in the face this offseason, alignment matters so much for DB.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let anybody out there on Twitter tell you differently. Mm-hmm. Alignment is critical for predicting which DBs are going to be successful week in and week out. You can have these boom games. Mm-hmm. You can have these pop games where somebody playing 45% of snaps or playing mainly deep gets a pick 6 interception or a couple of sacks or a TFL. But consistently week to week, the guys that are in the box, they're playing those sweet spot snaps, D-line, box, and slot corner. Those are the guys that you want to start. So pay attention to this. Don't be blinded by the finishes. Look at the usage. Like Bobo said, pay attention to guys like Macri that are helping you sort through all the noise for the signal. Speaking of which, Addy, you had a nice little segment idea here looking at ambiguous situations, things that we wanted to check in on. This was Evan's question on the preview pod, some ambiguous situations that we were excited to get clarity on. And at least for 1 week, maybe we have a better idea of how these things might shake out. Why don't you kick us off with just some situations around the league that had your attention headed into week 1?
All right, so we're going to start off with the New Orleans Saints. I'm very curious in the safety situation there. Of course, Chauncey Gardner Johnson out the door now, and they brought in Honey Badger and Marcus May. Both those guys acquired this offseason. So, just curious to see how they're using these guys. First game, Honey Badger played 75. Both of these guys played 75 snaps, Honey Badger and Marcus May, so that makes it easy on us. Honey Badger played 21 in the box, 43 at free safety, 8 in the slot, 3 on the line. Marcus May played 52 at free safety, 14 in the box, 7 at slot.
So, wow, Honey Badger was more the box safety than May, which is not what I would have expected.
Yep. So that'll be good for his value, I think, going forward. Also, Honey Badger was questionable coming into the game. So, I mean, probably wasn't feeling his best. I think it was illness.
Well, yeah, there you go. I thought you just meant like injury maybe had his body hurting, but you think he might actually had a case of the sniffles.
I think he had something going on with his blowing it out in the toilet.
Oh, blowing it out in the toilet.
Right.
Okay. He had the poopies.
Sure.
He had the poopies. You hate to see that. A couple other, it's this one. There we go. That was a total guess, but it worked out beautifully. A couple other Saints you were excited to check in on how they were being used. Pete Werner, we mentioned him. Great week. Snaps way higher than I think even the most optimistic Pete Werner manager would have imagined. I think he logged, 81% of snaps for week 1?
81%. Yep, exactly.
But how did our boy Peyton Turner look? I grabbed a lot of Peyton Turner in those best balls. Just curious, maybe what could happen there for the young player, second-year player, I believe. Any snaps at all week 1?
Yeah, 14 snaps, 29.7 PFF grade.
Let's go. Just light that best ball pick on fire, folks.
He's gone.
Yeah, that was what a waste.
So that was New Orleans' highly drafted edge rusher from last year's draft. So yeah, we're
stuff.
Gonna be keeping up with him. But I mean, yeah, it's still early on.
It's
Small
still
sample
early,
size.
They got 2 good players in front of them.
Yep.
All that jazz. Kansas City safety usage was another situation that you were curious to monitor. You have, of course, Justin Reed, a guy that we were very high on, was almost one of your flag plants before you had to step in and make Jalen Phillips that dude. But Justin Reed, Juan Thornhill, the Kansas City safeties now with Dirty Dan and Honey Badger out the door. How did it shake out week 1?
Yeah, so Justin Reed played 50 snaps, 28 at free safety, 11 in the box, 8 in the slot, 2 on the line, 1 at corner. So that is 42% in the sweet spot. So that's okay. Juan Thornhill, 50 snaps, 33 at free safety, 9 in the slot, 8 in the box. That's 34% in the sweet spot. So
Bobo, that is
similar usage.
That was not a split that I was expecting. I thought we would see more of Justin Reed in that sweet spot.
And we might end up getting to that point. Juan Thornhill actually played pretty good. This could be indicative of how much Arizona was trying to catch up to Kansas City in the game. But in a closer game, I will be interested to see where Reed plays more. Obviously, he's a kicker. Apparently.
That's right.
That's right.
You get if you get points.
I wonder if I got one.
If anyone gets points for kicking.
I noticed he got it in one of the leagues I was in because I have a lot of Justin Reed.
Yeah, it should be. You should be getting points for Justin Reed. What a kicker. What a player.
Pretty cool.
What a team. I keep saying it. This Chiefs defense is so much fun. Furious George, that whole line. Carlos Dunlap had a sack. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay. You've got the depth there with Leo Chenal. You've got Justin Reed. Now you've got Juan Thornhill. You've got L'Jarius Sneed. Dear God.
It's a fun defense.
Dude, yeah. Chris Jones, Frank Clark. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, juggernaut potential, people. I wanted to pull up this stat, or this, I should say this tweet from PFF Macri that I thought was, speaking of Furious George Karlaftis, didn't really pop as far as IDP production, but 78.5 snap share, led all Kansas City edge rushers. We mentioned if you see something good from a rookie in week 1, that's very encouraging because this is typically start the vets time. 22.6 pass rush win weight. That's the hardest thing to say, folks. Pass rush win rate is the hardest thing to say.
Don't you dare cut that.
Oh, I definitely am.
Certainly will.
19.4 pressure rate, or 19.4% pressure rate is very, very good, and a 70.4 pass rush grade. These stats got me all messed up, folks.
You shook, dog. He shook.
But Karlaftis looked really good week 1, even if maybe it didn't show up on the box scores. Very encouraging start for Furious George. So I'm with you, Bobo. This Kansas City Chiefs defense could be very spicy. Another storyline we were tracking very closely, Addy, Jeremy Chinn versus Xavier Woods usage. We were worrying preseason action was showing us, has this flipped? Is Jeremy Chinn now the deep safety and Xavier Woods the box guy? How did it shake out week 1?
It flipped back.
Oh, it flipped back. Oh, yeah. Welcome to fantasy football.
Yeah, so Xavier Woods, he played 51 snaps at free safety, 22 in the box, 4 at slot, 2 on the line, where Jeremy Chinn back to his old ways. Only 23 at free safety, then 30 in the box, 16 at slot, 6 on the line. So great usage.
Bobo, I think if we were to ask these coaches to stop doing things in the preseason that make us freak out and wonder if our IDPs suddenly are losing value, I think this is probably what they would say.
But I'm not going to, so quit asking.
Hey, but don't get it twisted. Jeremy Chin is still extremely overvalued and overrated.
Go back to my mower thoughts from this last weekend where I asked, is it possible if Xavier Woods outscores Jeremy Chin in IDP in 2022?
Yep.
Xavier Woods this week had 8 total tackles. Jeremy Chin had 7. So it's possible.
Yes, sir.
But I will say, to give credit to some of the coaches in the NFL, I got to credit you guys.
It's a
I know there's a
guarantee.
lot listening.
It's a guarantee. You heard it here first.
Week 1, that's a week 1. If it happens in week 1, it happens forever.
Didn't Frankie Louvu play like one preseason snap and then they pulled him?
They knew.
And
put him in bubble wrap.
Lock him in week 1.
Yep.
You're in there.
Yes.
We love you.
Corey Littleton.
Speaking of which, let's get to the more continued Panthers weirdness here. Shaq Thompson, 75% of snaps. Frankie Louvu, 85%. This was the one stat of the week that made me say, what? What's going on here? So, any interest in Frankie Louvu, Addy?
Sure. Yeah, if he's going to be getting those type of snaps, I mean, he's been making plays. I mean, he was making plays last year, making plays in the preseason. But, yeah, 85%.
Yeah.
And he's got big play upside. Sure.
IDP country, let's ride, Bobo. I'm not interested in Frankie Louvu. This feels like fool's gold.
I don't know.
Good. Boys, I think this Mountain Dew is giving me brain damage.
You have a stroke, Josh.
I may be having a strong.
Who's good?
Food's good. Pass rush win rate.
It just makes me think about football.
You want me to start narrating? I got all the experience now.
Please do. Good Lord, I'm
Hey,
hurt.
Bobby, how you doing, man?
We're good, Adam. What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about golf?
Let's talk about golf some more.
Pork
Or
Mammoth?
fried chicken. Let's talk about the second safety in Tampa Bay, Addy. This was a situation with Logan Ryan coming
He's gonna
over
be so self-conscious about
from
this
the Giants.
in the end.
And Jordan Whitehead, another of your flag plants, out the door. How did it shake out for the safeties in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, so Mike Edwards, 69, very nice. Snaps, 31 at free safety, 24 in the box, 11 and in the slot, 2 on the line, 1 at corner, 63.2 PFF grade. Logan Ryan, he still played 57 snaps, 48 deep, 5 in the box, 4 in the slot, 54.0 PFF grade. So how did all these safeties get all this playing time? Because Antoine Winfield played 69 as well. That's because Antoine Winfield's basically a slot corner now.
Yeah.
54 slot snaps for Antoine Winfield, 8 at free safety, 2 in the box, 1 on the line. So that is amazing usage.
And shout out, again, Greg Rosenthal mentioned this in his kind of roundup from training camp. He said that Antoine Winfield had replaced, I can't remember who exactly it was as the slot corner, but
Murphy Bunning or Dean probably.
one of
the
those two guys as the slot corner. So
That's awesome, man.
fun to see this carry through. This doesn't worry you at all. We like this. This is
No,
kind
this is
of
great.
like
He's closer to the line of scrimmage.
get a playmaker in a spot where he can make more plays, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's still going to make plays. He's one of the best safeties in the league.
Yep.
That was a good pregnant pause there. I was waiting for Bobo to chime in,
Well,
but
I was looking up. So his PFF grades from week 1, 71 overall PFF grade. He had a 74 run defense grade, and then he had a 71 coverage grade from week 1. So all healthy. We love the slot snaps. Yeah, man. Antoine Winfield looks like the reckoning of his father.
yeah, he's back to his father was a cornerback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So yeah, this is fun. This is following in his dad's footsteps.
I love that too. That's low key something that I
Tugs at the
enjoy.
old heartstrings.
Got it in his
blood.
Let's
Sure
talk
does.
about the Chargers
There are low key some stories about Antoine Winfield that as a young kid, his dad had him up watching tape with him, just saying like,
That's
look,
fun.
this is something you need to learn right here.
That's like the St. Brown boys, their father being a Mr. Universe,
Yeah.
or like
How about that yesterday? Both of them scoring like a minute apart.
that was cool.
That
That'd
gave
be
me chills.
Proud dad moment. The chills continue, folks. Let's
But
talk
enjoy that score though.
Chargers and 49ers linebackers. Addy, you mentioned Kenneth Murray getting the most snaps. What
Yeah.
the hell's going on there? But no surprise in San Francisco with the 49ers linebackers.
Right, yeah. Fred Warner, 58 snaps. Dre Greenlaw, 58 snaps. Azeez Al-Shaair, 30 snaps. So they're running a lot of 3 linebacker sets. But again, I mean, maybe that's because of the game type it was. But
I think Justin Fields threw 8 passes, if I'm not mistaken, in that game.
Yeah.
Al-Shaair got ejected.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Did he smack somebody as well?
I think targeting.
Oh, I think,
dang.
I remember hearing
But
that.
he graded really well, 70.4, so he graded the best of the 3.
Yeah, and then Dre Greenlaw, 44.9 PFF grade. So
not great.
Not good, especially when you got someone like Azeez right there, behind
breathing down your neck.
So, again, that was a situation I wanted nothing to do with. A lot of people hyping up our boy Gray Greenlaw.
Gray Greenlaw?
I like that.
That's good. I like that. That's very dignified.
Man,
that's fun.
What do we do there in LA though? What's the right call, Josh?
I think it's just I think maybe I'm plugging in Drew Tranquil. I'm out on Kenneth Murray. Kyle Van Noy doesn't interest me. Troy Reader, no thank you.
Probably not touching any of these, honestly, and outside of Fred Warner, that's all I want in San Fran.
Yeah,
both those situations.
That's the only one that we feel really solid about. So yeah, I'll stick with Fred Warner as well. Addy, go ahead and we could take a little tiny tiny little track victory lap for Jalen Phillips week 1 usage because, oh baby, that was fun to see. Rip Van Winkle, Melvin Ingram, sit down, be humble.
Yeah. So,
and yeah, Melvin Ingram had a great game because he had a touchdown, but man, Jalen Phillips, the snaps were there that we wanted to see. And talk about overly optimistic, man. Jalen Phillips far exceeded what I thought we were going to get from him week 1.
Yeah, we got 40 snaps out of Jalen Phillips. That was 71% of the snaps. Emmanuel Ogbah got 39. So, I mean, that kind of tells you what they think about both of those guys. Next closest was Melvin Ingram, who had 31 snaps. Andrew Van Winkle only had 7 snaps.
You just mixed those up, so now he's truly just a cartoon character.
But yeah, there's we'll see how they sprinkle in Trey Flowers if they do at all. But yeah, I mean, just extremely encouraging for Jalen Phillips. Didn't play well, but again, this is a tough matchup. I mean,
I just wanted to see the usage.
We said
usage
this
was great.
This will come along. Like the quality of play will improve the more opportunity he gets, Bobo, and he got the opportunity.
We said it last week. Phillips and Ogbah are the 2 that you want. That continues to be the case.
So we'll see if it continues. But
bet on talent.
That's
yes,
right. And
always.
2, I think we underestimated the impact of new coaches.
Yeah.
Even though the defensive coordinator is still there, a holdover from the Brian Flores regime, Mike McDaniel coming in, new coach. And
he's going to question the way he's doing stuff. He's going to
be like,
why are you doing it like that? He's a smart coach.
He's a smart guy. He got the blue and the red Gatorade bath from his players. That was kind of funny. Just literally down. He had to throw his glasses off. He couldn't even see for his post-game speech. So that was fun. But, yeah, the Miami edge rushing situation, very interested in how that shakes out week 2. Quay Walker usage.
Yes.
And he was pretty nice. Obviously sustained the injury, so we'll see how severe that is. But it was everything we wanted for week 1.
It was, 87%? Of course, he didn't play the whole game, but, I mean, when he was out there,
he was out there, yeah.
87% of the snaps that he was out there. So, yeah, I mean.
That's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's 2 full-time linebackers.
Yep.
8 tackles.
That's correct, Josh. That's exactly what that is. That is the scheme buster.
That's the scheme buster. We mentioned he was, I think, the kind of
Poster
original,
child, yeah.
right? Original poster child scheme buster.
And, Green Bay told us all off season they spent the first-round pick on the guy. Guy looks great.
Yep.
He looks great every time you see him out there in action. He's very quick to the ball, drills people.
Yeah.
Good player.
Things change,
Good player.
people. The 2021 season is not the 2022 season. New players, new coaching staffs, new offensive, defensive coordinators. Just because things were in 2021 doesn't mean that that's how they're going to be this year. Expect change.
And again, like that Green Bay team, they're not that talented.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep.
Like they don't have they're aging and
they're
offense lost a lot of talent.
They're going to have to get
Adams
creative.
That offense is missing some juice, boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Romeo Doubs is your leading target.
Easy.
I mean, even losing someone like, we know what we think of MVS, but I mean, losing someone like that, I mean, that you wouldn't think that'd be such a big deal, but man, they really could use someone like
They
that.
were missing 2 offense. Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins were gone.
Lazard's
Al Lazard
out.
was gone. They had some guys missing, but man,
Still.
that was a bummer of a performance for week 1. We've talked about the Arizona Cardinals linebacker usage. It is #Zaven season. But let's talk about the Philadelphia linebackers. What did Nakobe Dean look like for week 1, Eddie?
He only played 3 snaps, so
Okay, we didn't get to see him a whole lot then.
not much to gather from
And we
that.
kind of figured that was going to be the case.
Yep. T.J. Edwards, he played 69% of snaps, 100%. Kaiser White played 51 snaps for 74%. So, yeah, I mean, you can trust both those guys, I think, probably for the, half the season.
Yep.
And then they're going to maybe work in Nakobe Dean. Maybe not, though. I mean, they may just have, plans to use
They may
him
have
next
2
year.
guys they like, and those are the 2 guys.
Yeah. What I was most interested, though, from the Eagles was, of course, our boy, Chauncey Gardner Johnson. What was he going to be? How is he going to be used there in Philadelphia? And it looks like he's going to be a safety, boys. 97% of the snaps, 33 at free safety, 27 in the box, 7 slot.
That's juicy. That's delicious. And
Very juicy.
for a player that is as aggravating to play as Chauncey Gardner Johnson, that's what we want to see. That's what you want to do. Get this guy in a position to make plays because that's what he does.
I felt stupid when I looked on RSO and you had picked him up. I thought, dang, I thought for sure this guy was owned.
He was by me.
Was
Yeah,
rostered.
You got to cancel Bobby now.
yeah,
guys.
my
sorry.
apologies.
We need to cancel like dun, 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 yeah
Yeah.
sound whenever someone gets canceled mid pod. So yeah,
18 dropping or something.
there you go.
I got to
So,
give you credit though, Josh. You
Please
saw
do.
the Eagles team as being good, and the Eagles team did look pretty.
They look good.
They did play the Lions.
Ravens looked good as well.
Lions
against-
look solid, though.
Yeah, they made it
They have some
interesting.
fun players.
The Jets suck, so you can't really take a whole lot away for the Ravens side of things. But I think that team will be in the mix for the AFC North and maybe in the mix for the Super Bowl. We'll see.
The Eagles just seemingly have a ton of depth everywhere.
Yep.
Even here at linebacker, we're talking about T.J. Edwards, whatever, Kaiser White, and Nakobe Dean.
Howie Roseman is not a perfect GM, but he's made some really good moves recently, added some really top-end talent through the draft, through free agency, through trades. So I think this Eagles team is really good, and I think they're going to be in the mix for a 1 seed in the NFC. We mentioned the Houston linebackers. Camu Grugier-Hill was really solid. We had Christian Kirksey, solid as well. But what about the ATL linebackers? Addy, we mentioned Michael Walker performed well week 1, but how else were things shaking out there in the linebacker and the safeties?
Yeah, so Walker, 100% of the snaps, 62.5 overall PFF grade. Rashawn Evans, this is one that's pretty surprising. Evans has typically been a guy that only plays like 70% of the snaps. He played 98% of the snaps, 64.8 PFF grade. So if he's going to continue to get that amount, he's going to be very useful this year for us in IDP. Richie Grant, everyone's very curious about how he bounces back from his rookie year. 60 snaps, 64.9 PFF grade. 40 of his snaps were at free safety, 11 in the slot, 6 in the box, 1 on the line. So not the usage that we were wanting. Same with Jalen Hawkins. They use these safeties in the same, for really kind of the same way. 60 snaps for Hawkins as well. 67.1 PFF grade, 34 free safety, 10 in the box, 10 at slot, 4 at corner, 2 on the line. So they usually put these safeties deep. But Richie Grant was able to rack up 10 tackles. So, I mean, that's a good sign. And again, another team that doesn't have a ton of talent around on it. So Richie Grant could be a solid safety. He was a great value for you.
We were
in
very
drafts.
excited about him last year, and he let us down.
Yep. So good start for him.
All right. Well, there's the Atlanta breakdown. And, Addy, I love that you just went ham on the Jets safeties plus linebackers plus line. We don't have to hit all of these, but was there 1 or 2 players in particular? Let's mention your flag plant, Jordan Whitehead, of course. But were there anybody besides Whitehead that made your eyebrows maybe raise for week 1?
Yeah, let's do Whitehead's first. 55 snaps for Whitehead, 18 in the box, 14 in the slot, 1 on the line, 20 at free safety, 2 at corner. So he played 98% of the snaps. Had an okay game. We would have liked to, see him do better, but the usage is good. He's out there a ton, so I think the stat lines will improve. I'm curious in the second linebacker there. So Quincy Williams, he played 51 snaps versus Quan Alexander playing 37 snaps. Now, Quincy Williams graded awful, 45.0 PFF. Quan Alexander,
was a lot better.
74.0 PFF. And me and Johnny had this conversation. I mean, if you have Quan Alexander on the team, why would you even play Quincy Williams? I mean, clearly Quan Alexander is a better linebacker. So
still way younger than you think, too.
Yeah, still just
surprisingly
like 28,
young.
Right, we talked about that at one point. But, yeah, we could easily see that situation flip at some point. So I think, even though Quincy Williams was, if you started him, you were very happy. Just he's one of those situations where I just feel like they're going to pull the rug out from underneath him.
He's fool's gold as well.
He's fool's gold.
Fool's gold.
He's fool's gold.
I'm going to clip that for the board as well.
Yeah, copyright that. That's going to be big.
That sounds good.
That's like your Let's Ride.
That's our next shirt. Fool's gold.
I was also curious about the line, really, outside of Quinnen Williams. I just wanted to see who was getting the snaps. Carl Lawson, 29 snaps. He put up 3 pressures. John Franklin Myers, he had 28 snaps. He put up 3 pressures. Michael Clemens, that's Michael with an E.
The preseason freak with the nose ring.
Yes, 24 snaps, 62.3 PFF grade. So that's great, seeing him get an opportunity this early on. And Jermaine Johnson got 19 snaps. He put up a pressure and a sack.
All right.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll continue to watch that, but it looks like they got a pretty heavy rotation there right now.
All right. Bobo, we mentioned the Raiders linebacker. Denzel Perryman exited, so Divine Diablo with 63 snaps and Jayon Brown with 44. But the Chicago edge rushers, we've talked a lot about these dudes because Robert Quinn just screamed regression with the number of sacks that he had in 2021. We also had Al-Qadim Muhammad and Travis Gibson. We mentioned Dominique Robinson. Are you shooting your shot on any of these Bears edge rushers? Okay, if you were to shoot your shot on these Bears edge rushers, who are you interested in?
I'm still interested in Robert Quinn just because I like him, and it's kind of hard to look away from his, what did he have, 14 sacks or whatever last year. I can still see him having 8 to 10 sacks this year. But just put a pin in probably not Al-Qadim Muhammad. Maybe Travis Gibson or Dominique Robinson could pan out for the end of the year. But nothing really, deeper leagues maybe, but nothing to really, take away from right now.
All right. Well, let's put a bow on this conversation, fellas. Of the ambiguous situations that we've tracked here for week 1, which one are you most excited to see how it pans out for week number 2? To see if these trends continue. I'll go first. I want to see what the LA Chargers linebackers looks like because I really do think it's Drew Tranquil. But if they pulled the ultimate ropey dope by having Kenneth Murray now be the lead linebacker and I get my flag plant just 1 year late, I'm going to be pissed, but also, I guess, justified. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel.
What did you just call that?
The ropey dope?
I thought it was Ropa.
Ropa-dope? Sure. I've butchered all sorts of words tonight.
You dunked all
That
over
was
this
just
podcast.
I need to self-cancel.
You're gonna go home and take a good look in the mirror, ain't you?
I'm going to look in the mirror
It just seemed
and go like that.
It didn't seem wrong. It just sounded real country. Oh, ropey dope.
Rope-a-dope.
This is your last episode.
I think it is. I think I might have to hang him up after this.
It's about time.
Been a good ride, though,
Adam
folks.
Bobby Pod.
Bobo, what did you think? Which situation are you most excited to see week 2?
Well, Josh, we're going to have to go to the great state of California and look at the old scheme buster himself.
The most talked about player on Twitter, Ernest Jones?
You knew we couldn't finish a pod without bringing up Ernest Jones. You knew we couldn't do it. Enough of Adam yelling. It's about time for me to yell for a minute.
I love when I have yelling on both sides.
I can't wait.
What's your expectation? You said 60%. That was your flag plant. He got like 58 and some change.
Times are changing.
Plus or minus 58% of snaps, assuming health for week 2. What do you think?
Over.
Over?
Give me the over.
All right. Addy, what about you? You going over for week 2 on Ernest?
Give me the over.
I'll take the over as
And
well.
all you nerds out there that done your victory lap and don't want you to apologize, every single one of us.
Man, it was an absolute just
It was great.
it's a horror show on Twitter this
Everyone,
weekend.
as always, log out.
Go call a loved one. Just check in.
Great time to play golf in the great state of Kentucky.
Everything's greening up real nice right now.
Go for a walk with your wife.
Feels beautiful out there.
Get you a little Italian pasta at a local little brewery.
Bobo, how weird. I'm sitting down for dinner at one of our favorite establishments, and a man walks up, and then Allie's like, who is this?
Josh don't know about
And I was
that
like,
tracker on his car.
Yeah, that would be Bobby, of all places that you could
I know where
pull
you
up
wa-
for birthday dinner.
I know where you are at all times, Josh.
That small town charm.
It's true. Allie always makes fun of me because I see someone that I know every time I go out. I'm like, that's just Bowling Green. It's this it's the
Big
biggest
little
small town in the world.
Yeah.
Politic over here.
Mr. Politic, the exact opposite. I
sir.
try not to see people when I go out. It just happens.
That's me too. I took that hat in, glasses on.
When you see people out, do you do the thing like where you shake someone's hand, and you put your other hand over, like, just show the people what I'm talking about. Give me like that right there.
You do the
Josh Raymer,
the double shake.
Josh Cal Raymer.
No, I make them hug me and then just breathe into their ear for an uncomfortable amount of time just to establish dominance.
You smell nice.
Yeah, you smell real nice. Addy, I have to assume the situation you're most excited for
Jalen
week 2
Phillips.
is Jalen Phillips, right? All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us, folks. Hope y'all enjoyed this episode. It was a lot of fun. It's good to have football back. It's good to be doing this podcast.
Yep.
Loved the preview episode, Addy. Thank you for blessing us with
You're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. A lot of good calls on there. I will say so. I'm really good at this.
So the thing that we love about the preview episodes is each preview team's going to come at it a little bit differently. It's their own baby. It's their own canvas on which to paint. John Macri and I will be doing a little bit different setup. You and Johnny have always gone game by game. I love that setup. Hearing about all the players from each of the games. A lot of fun. Johnny threw in some great cornerback streamers in there as well. So check out his work on IDP, guys. If you haven't already, what are you doing? But John and I will be back with you all Friday afternoon. We're going to be looking at his utilization report, some interesting trends or guys that popped out from that. We're going to be talking about some start sits. We'll be doing some listener questions. We'll be talking all 22 and talking a little pop culture as well. So look forward to that on Friday, folks. And again, if you'd like to support the show, it's $5 a month, $50 a year, theidpshow.com. This week, all the cool perks go behind the paywall, so go check it out. And give us some support over there if you'd like.
What's the number one pop culture thing that you're thinking about?
I don't even know how to pop culture thing. This from the guy who hasn't been on a plane in 10 years or seen a movie since
Right.
I've got some good recs in there. You'll have to tune in Friday to see what I'm recommending.
No thanks.
I'm worried.
It's not Nathan Fielder, so I don't think you're going to check it out.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Rehearsal. That's a great show.
And we're just going to be talking not even things we recommend. I
a
don't
Trump check.
I don't like recommending things for people because then if they don't like it, it's like my fault. It's like I enjoy this.
You wasted our time.
You
Having
make the
children.
decision. You make the decision if you want to try this out.
Listen, I know Josh has piss poor taste, so I don't ever ask him anything like that.
This man has not watched a movie, folks, in probably 8 years.
Yeah, well, the movies aren't what they used to be. I'll say that.
The pictures nowadays,
I'll say
they just
that.
don't slap like they used to.
The actors are saying that back too. I've been hearing them say that.
They've been saying it to Addy on the streets, Bobo. We'll see you guys next week.
Now I'm aiming for the stars, messed up and shattered.